notions of right and wrong, and notions of truth and falsity within our 3D experience, our 3D reality, our 3D world, our everyday common sense world, are different from those same notions when looked at from a higher dimension. It's sort of like you have two parties and they're arguing inside a box. Both of them convinced that they're right, and you're looking at them arguing from outside that box. And you can see their points. You can see the point of view of each of them, but you can, as being separated from them outside the box like that, some people say objectively, you could say that both of them are right, and that it doesn't really matter who's right. If you look at that person outside the box as being in a higher dimension, looking down at a lower dimension, and seeing that what they're arguing about is not important. In fact, it's trivial. And in fact, you can even go farther than that and say, well, they're both right, and they're both limited perceptions. They're both limited realities. They're in both of their separate realities. They're right. So everybody's right in their own way, but in the higher dimension, you realize that it doesn't really even matter if one is right and what's wrong. What matters much more is that people acknowledge the fact that they're related to the other person. They're part of the family, and that we all should love each other and embrace each other and support each other. And so the idea that someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong is really counterproductive. I had this revelation, I had a real awareness of it in my convalescence of about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've been meaning to share more about that. But the combination of that awareness, that being right and being wrong is not important, and what's more important is to either apologize, and if you can't apologize, at least the other party can forgive despite the apology. But if people can forgive, then Spirit works. Spirit will flow into the situation with its love and heal all the parties. And that's the key. That's the key to solving these issues of divisiveness and chaos. It's for people to step outside this box of being right and wrong, and forgive. If it helps to apologize, apologize. What's that gonna hurt? If it hurts you to apologize, that tells you that your ego is speaking, and your ego is out of control. It's too big. The ego is separate from godliness. It gets in the way. That is why so much has been said about the importance of humility. And Buddhists even go in so far as to say, kill your ego. Lots of people are arguing about that lately. Some people say, oh, you have to have some ego to be able to function in the world. Well, I'm not convinced of that. Most people, I suppose, those who aim to be ascended, those who aim to be awoke, they can transcend that and realize that having that ego is not necessary. What is much more important is surrender, letting go to Spirit, and being humble, and sincere and respectful, not only of spirit, but of your elders too, because they're closer to spirit than you are, and they have a lifetime worth of wisdom. And the problem with young people is they don't realize that they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the wisdom. That knowledge and wisdom comes with old age, and when you get there, you realize that it is true that with age comes wisdom. So, and I think that's because you're getting closer to spirit the older you get, getting closer to return. Some people have said that we spend the first half of our life building up our egos so that we can be successful in business or whatever our occupation is and acquire as much materialistic stuff as we can. But then when we discover what's really important, we spend the second half of our life trying to lose that ego and giving away our stuff. Because ultimately we have to give it all away, right? We can't take it with us. So these are the things that I wanted to touch on today. These are the things that I wanted to pray about, and I think it's real important that the word get out about the importance of forgiveness, because that's going to be able to heal us from this current strife that's going on in our country right now. And the best way to do that is through grassroots. It's through people. Look who's visiting me right here. That's a salmonberry right there. So, what's really important is nature and our place in it. And when we realize that we're all just part of this big family, again, this is part of humility and not about the ego of the Western mind, the Western colonial mind. So these are the things that I'm praying of, that we can, on a grassroots level, come to the awareness of how important these ceremonies are, forgiveness ceremonies, and start doing them with our neighbors, with our friends, or with our families, and with our countries, between our countries, in our communities, between the police, between the protesters. We need to forgive and come together. Otherwise, how are we going to continue on and live in this beautiful place that we were given by Spirit